This may be a tough day. I can't reach Mark because the people are leaving today instead of tomorrow because they're afraid they're not going to get out of here tomorrow. I just tried Mark Beal and I've got no answer. Usually he answers. Who else is missing?
Do you have Tom Dixon?
I have Tom's here.
Okay. I can't see. I'm using my phone, so I can't really see much.
No, Tim
who's-
Savarino
We do have a quorum.
and no
We
Diane.
do. I'll try Tim.
Yep. I'm in a meeting.
Morning, CPC.
Good morning. It's Tuesday, November 21st. It is 10 o'clock.
That's Kathy. You trying to get in?
We do have a quorum.
All right, let me give you what I got in on. Hold on. Okay, it's 862.
Kathy, you need,
Kathy,
put
you
your
got
phone
mute.
on mute.
Okay, wait a minute. Okay,
You gotta mute.
all right. It doesn't mute on the phone. Okay, it's 862-814-5722.
Yeah, I can't get a hold of Tim either. I think he's probably traveling.
338-599. Yep. 599. Okay. I'll tell them you're coming in. Okay. Bye-bye.
Right. It is Tuesday, November 21st. It is 10:03. I'm calling to order the meeting of the Community Preservation Committee on November 21st, 10 a.m. The agenda has been circulated. I would
We have to read that thing, Ken, if you have it.
Good morning. This open meeting of the Community Preservation Committee is being conducted remotely pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless each participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. For this meeting of the CPC is convening by video conference via Zoom app as posted on the town's website and identifying how the public may join. For Zoom meetings, please note that this meeting is being recorded and that all attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you and to take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the meeting. All supporting materials that have been provided members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless I, the chair, note otherwise. The meeting business ground rules. We're now turning to the first item of the agenda, but before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I, the chair, will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in conversation with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourselves. For items of public comment, after members have spoken, the chair will afford public comment to those members of the public that have joined the meeting via Zoom. Members of the public who wish to speak must state their names and be acknowledged by and speak through the chair. Finally, each vote taken at this meeting will be conducted by a roll call vote. I would like to call to order the agenda and indicate, when I call your name, indicate that you're present. Neville Richin.
Present.
Diane Coombs, Eleanor Antonetti,
Present.
Joe Topham,
Present.
Linda Williams,
Here.
Tim Savarino,
Present.
Mark Beal, Tom Dixon,
Here.
and the chair is present. Uh, Oh, administration. Lena,
Here.
Kathy,
Here.
okay. The agenda is what I would like to do is to note that on the agenda.
Can't hear you, Ken.
I'm sorry. On
There
the
you are.
agenda, Mark Beal is vice chair. The agenda was incorrect having Linda as vice chair. Also indicate that under other business, I asked that the fiscal year 25 grant application second round deliberations be continued. I asked to have it put under other business rather than old business and would request your approval for that. Does anyone object? Hearing no objections, we will move that to old business. Make a motion. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Moved by Linda, seconded. Roll call vote. Neville?
Aye.
Eleanor?
Can't hear you.
Eleanor?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Linda?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
And Mark Beal's not here. Diane Combs is not here. The chair also votes aye. It carries unanimously. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of October 17th, 2023, which have previously been circulated. If anyone has any questions with them, please raise them. Otherwise, I would entertain a motion for the approval of those minutes as submitted.
I have a question.
Yes,
Under fund requisitions, did we not vote on that?
we haven't gotten there yet.
No, on the minutes. There's no vote on the under fund requisitions. I thought we would have had to approve them.
Wait a minute. Are you talking about last month or this month?
Talking about the minutes that Glenna sent last night with red corrections, I guess.
October 17th.
Jeez.
If they're not on there, we will make the amendment that was circulated last night. But they
No,
were.
these are the minutes that were circulated last night. There's a whole lot of stuff in red, so I guess there were corrections. But under item Roman numeral 1, fund requisitions, as well as old business, maybe we didn't have old business, but under fund requisitions, there's no discussion, motion, anything. So when what I'm looking at, which Glenna sent by email last night.
I'm gonna make a motion to hold the minutes for the next month until they are corrected. They shouldn't be sent out unless they are correct. They are accurate.
Second to that motion.
Second.
Okay, by roll call, all those, any discussion? By roll call, all those in favor, Neville,
Aye.
Eleanor,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Linda,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
and chair votes aye. Carries unanimously. Next item is the approval of the fund requisitions, items Roman I, A, B, C, D, and E. Are there any concerns or issues with any of those? If not, I would entertain a motion for the approval of those fund requisitions.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
like to recuse from item A. So if you could vote B through E as a block and A separate, that would be great.
Okay,
I'll make that motion. They won't get paid for another reason. I'll tell you why later, but I'll make that motion to have them paid.
okay, so the motion is to approve items Roman 1, B, C, D, and E.
I'll second that.
All right, any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Neville,
Yes, we're gonna make a motion to pay these and they're not gonna be paid. Is that what I just heard, Mr. Chairman?
We don't have contracts filed. That's a whole nother subject, but we have to make a motion to pay them so we can get the contract straightened out.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
any further discussion on the motion?
Tim's been with them.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay. Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to ask on item C, Fair Street Research Library. The request is for $408,533.93. I'm just wondering, that's a pretty large ask all at once. Usually the fund requisitions come in as work progresses. Is that accurate that they want that much money all at one time?
Kathy's got her hand up, Mr. Chairman. She can answer that.
Yep.
Hi, Tim. Yeah, I've got the request here in front of me, and it is, it's the invoices from the roof, the concrete restoration. They're doing the side and window replacements from July to September. The total amount that was voted is $609,713. So they're asking for $408,553.95, a portion of the whole grant.
Mr. Chairman, if I could through you.
Yes.
So Kathy, does the amount requested total equal the invoice that you have July through September?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, it's a pack. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a lot. With canceled checks. Mhm.
gotcha. Okay, that answers my question, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay. Any further other questions with respect to that? Then
Lena has to shut hers off again because now we're getting the reverberation. You can't have both of you in the same room.
okay. I would then entertain a motion for,
Oh, is that, does that B through the end?
B
So
B
Tom,
through B through E.
I'll
Items B.
make that motion to approve.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor by roll call? Neville,
Aye,
Eleanor,
Aye.
Tim,
He said aye, but no sound.
Tom,
Aye.
Linda,
Aye.
and the chair says aye.
Joe says aye.
Are you on town committee, Joe?
No, he's the house in the back.
Okay, got it. Now, item A, the Nantucket Interfaith request for 22,689.50.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chair.
Tom has recused himself from this because of his association with the on that board. Is there a motion to that effect?
So move, Mr. Chair.
Moved
second,
by Linda, seconded by
I think
Neville.
it was Neville.
Yep. All those in favor by roll call? Neville,
aye,
Eleanor,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Tom.
He's recused.
He's
Richard,
recused.
sorry, Linda,
Tim,
Aye.
and chair votes aye.
and I vote aye.
Yeah, I called your name.
Oh.
Okay, is there any old business? I don't have anything on the agenda. I put it under other business, and so we can get to that under other business. So, it- so, and there's no new business that I'm aware of. Under other business, I had the fiscal year 25 grant application, second round deliberations to be continued.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, I'm so sorry to interrupt, but Mark says the host hasn't let him in. He's trying to get in and the host has not let him in.
Okay, we will let him in right now.
Thank you. Sorry for interrupting.
Okay,
Mark has to have his name put on his iPad Air. They can't be on anonymously. So Mark, if you can figure out, Glenna, how to put his name on there, you have to put his name on,
I'll get Glenn to put his name on.
because he's in. There he goes. All right, the gang's all here.
Okay,
Except for Diane.
Oh, yeah.
okay, we're going to continue with the second round deliberations at this point in time. Okay, one of the things that we needed to do was to eliminate the contingencies and other things that are not travel, these other things that are not allowable to be reimbursed. So if we go through the hospital thrift shop, they have none. With respect to the Mariah Mitchell Association, there's contingencies of $10,000 which need to be removed. With respect to the Athenaeum, there are no contingencies or other fees. With respect to the Cemetery Commission, there is 4.8 buffer from the estimate. With respect to Remain, there is $1,000 in travel and lodging. With respect to the Town of Nantucket Preservation Institute,
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, can you start at the top of that list again? Because I just got a hold of Diane. She's trying to get in.
Oh, good.
Can you start at the top of that one again?
I shall, just a minute, I need to put my glasses back on. I'm waiting to have Diane be let in.
She's having a lot of technical trouble, so just go down that list again.
Okay. With respect to the hospital thrift shop, there are no contracting or other fees. With respect to Mitchell, there's contingencies of $10,000. With respect to the Athenaeum, there
What
are
was
no-
the 10,000 for? Does anybody know? It just says contingencies of 10,000. With respect to the Athenaeum, there were no contracting or other fees. With respect to the Cemetery Commission, there was a 4.8% buffer from the estimate. With respect to Remain, Folger Black condominium, there was travel and lodging of $1,000. With respect to the Town of Nantucket Preservation Institute, Main Street, there was a task 2 and task 4. There was $3,000 for travel for both the two PIN Institute requests. With respect to community service land back house, there were no contracting or other fees. With respect to St. Mary's, there was a project management general contracting fee of $32,540.32, and this fee for disposal of waste of $10,000, and a contingency fee
of 2.5% of $5,423.39. With respect to the St. Mary of the Isle restoration of the rectory, there was a project management fee of $93,781.50. With respect to the NHA, the candle factory, there was transportation and housing of $110,300 and general contractor of $97,405. With
Wait a
respect
minute. You said general contractor, 97 what?
405.
You can't parse that out. All right, go ahead.
With respect to the NHA, the old mill, there was a contingency fee of $11,132. And that's it. No, sorry, other than the Nantucket Racket Sports Association.
Can't hear
Ken, you
you.
got muted. You're muted, Ken. We didn't hear any of that.
Sorry, I hit that by mistake. With respect to the Racket Sports Association, there's a contractor fee of $94,000 and a second contractor fee of $10,000.
I have to take exception with some of this. Are we up for discussion on some of these?
Yes, we are up for discussion. That's the purpose.
Somebody else start the discussion.
Some of the greatest musicians and composers in history.
I'm just wondering, why didn't we get these numbers before the meeting? This is also, I can't do this math as quickly. I appreciate that someone went to the trouble of getting them, but could we maybe next time get them before the meeting rather than having to do all this on the fly? Is that?
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing, Helena.
It's frustrating. I can't, I would have been able to mull this over last night, maybe take a second look.
Eleanor, you guys are supposed to go through each contract and pull out the contingency fees. That's what your job is.
I understand, but you all are much more efficient at this, and you've just thrown these numbers at us, and I might not have come up with the same thing. I'm not as well versed as you are in pulling all this stuff out so quickly, so I get that. And
Neville has his hand
I
up,
own-
and then Linda has his hand up. Neville first.
Yes, Ken, just two things. When you lean too far to your right, we lose your voice.
Okay.
That said,
All right.
I believe at the last meeting, someone had said that why don't the office look through the proposals and pick out all these other fees? And I think that's how it came like that. But it is our job to do. It is our job to do this. And the other thing that I found out, I was told, is we don't have a time limit anymore. In other words, back in the old days, we used to have it in by, you're supposed to have all our stuff into the town by a certain date. So we don't have that time limit anymore. Is that correct, Mr. Chairman?
That is correct.
So we really have a lot of time.
Right. Linda Williams has her hand up.
Thank you.
Linda?
Okay. I can understand the contingency fees because everybody always builds in a buffer because of whatever weather or whatever happens here, craziness. We cannot take out contractors' fees. Contractors' fees are part of the construction of whatever particular project they are. Contingencies, yeah, I got it. And buffers, I got it. Sometimes the expertise in the travel is part of the construction. Several in here have construction called out, construction fees called out. You have to have a construction manager as part of the contract. Otherwise, you can't construct. That takes me back to one in particular, which is the two St. Mary's ones. They don't have the in-house expertise that the NHA has. Some of these others have. They don't have it. If you try to reconstruct given the complexity of the design and all the gingerbread on this house and the complexity of the turned posts and everything else, the father can't manage that project. You will not have a project at St. Mary's, which is why when we brought this up the last time, I said, you got to take into account each and every one of these individually and not just wipe out contracting, which you have to have for any of these some of these projects, or the contract management the construction management for St. Mary's in particular, because they don't have the expertise. He can't be running around telling people what they're doing, what they're not doing on an historic structure of the complexity, particularly of the rectory. If you've stopped and taken a look at it and walked around it, it's a really difficult building because so much of the architectural features are unique to that structure. If you don't have a contract manager there, a construction manager for that particular project of all the other ones, you're in big trouble. The St. Mary's is probably the same because he can't run around and manage that himself. That's just not where their expertise lies. So I can understand taking out contingency off of Mariah Mitchell, the 10,000. I don't understand how they built in a buffer at the cemetery. That's kind of weird. Travel of 1,000 for a rename. Whatever. I'm going looking at the Preservation Institute stuff. You're taking out, I guess, 3,000 for travel. That's part of the review of the property. They just don't materialize here out of a genie lamp. They have to get here because it's an expertise that we don't have here on the island. So it's part of that. Then you get to St. Mary's. I've already said that. Then you get to the Hadwin, the candle factory. Now, the candle factory has to be engineered, and an engineer has to oversee that candle factory because this is an engineering feat that they don't have any expertise on either. The travel and housing, because you have to bring over the engineering crew, and I believe they're coming from north of Boston. And again, it's a general contractor, which means the engineer is going to have to oversee that whole project, not in-house, not by a local contractor, because they don't have that expertise. They may be working on it, but somebody has to oversee that. So I don't see taking that out of the candle factory with that whole back wall falling away from the building is a good idea, nor can they do the project without that management. Then you get over to the old mill, and that was a contingency of 11,000. I don't have a problem with taking the 11 grand out. The racket club has a fairly large contingency, so I'm not sure which is which, the 94,000 or the 10,000. So I'd have to wait to get to there. But on some of these, yeah, contingency, they always build in a Nantucket premium. On some of these other ones, you can't separate the GC from the project because otherwise you can't do the project, physically can't do the project. And Joe and I work on these projects all the time. So we have a certain expertise in this area. So I'll leave it up to Joe to chime in next.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman.
Neville.
Yes. I understand what Linda's saying. This is what I'm going to say, Mr. Chairman, and this is only, and I'm going to say it because it's true, but I know that people will have to check it, and if you check it, you'll see it's true. The way Nantucket, the way we have been funding our items, we've basically been funding it our way. The reason why these came up, usually when we get proposals, they give us a round figure and they break it down. You don't usually see the contract fee. You don't usually see the engineer's fee. That's all part of the works that goes on with it. But we're seeing it now. You don't really see housing. You know, that's all part of what is going on. But since we are having it, these are items, these are things, including the things on the sidewalk, that CPC doesn't pay for. CPC doesn't pay for sidewalk work. It doesn't matter if it's historical or not. They don't pay for sidewalk work. You know, so but we are funding that. CPC, when you say a general contracting, okay, the first question that will come up in the contractor is like, what exactly is the contractor going to do? The only reason why I had a problem with the contractor, or for instance, the Nantucket Sports and Racket Club, is because they didn't write down exactly what the contractor will be doing. Because under the CPC rules, we have to know. So that's the only reason why I brought that up. Now, it's fine with me if the members say, okay, let's go on and fund them this time, and we just have to be careful next time. That's all fine with me. But the reason why I brought up some of these things is because when you go, like, what are these people going to be doing? And are these items that we can fund? I had to question it because we know in CPC, if you look at the act, it specifically says in there what we fund and what we don't fund. And you will see, especially with this year, all the stuff written out, there are things in here that we don't fund. Thank you.
Joe, you had a hand up and then Linda.
Thanks, sir. No, I agree with Neville. I mean, that is why I asked for, we all go back and look through all these, because I felt that, I can't think of his name right now. Anyway, Steve Hollister was very thorough in his breakdown, and that was great. And I couldn't imagine anyone else not doing this, especially NHA. They have to bring down, especially, you know, people that's all they do. They work in this field, or engineers, and I don't want to parse anyone out and not let them pay. But at the same point, if we're going to do it, we have to do it to everyone. But I also feel like we should be paying these general contractors or experts to do this, because I feel like, as Linda said, if, you know, Father John is going out there and pointing at like what's going on today, great, walks away and he has no idea if something's being put together incorrectly, that project may be $1 million today, but it could be 1.5 by the time, you know, they go back, or there's damages or whatever. And I think you really need that person of expertise on a site to be able to control, coordinate, be there. You know, if there's a structural question, you can get on the phone immediately to the engineer. I really think it's an important fixture of that, any project, believe it, you know, I believe. You just see it all the time. I know all the time I'm going to job sites and I'm doing sketches to work on engineering issues or resizing or whatever, just because we redesigns or recorrections within the field. And that happens all the time. So having those expertise or experts not on the sites, not having general contractors that know the field and they've been hired specifically for these historic structures, I think we're really going to do a disservice. So I really think we need to think about this hard. So if we're going to take out one, and I'm a parishioner of St. Mary's, but St. Mary's is targeted more or less, and I just think everyone needs to be brought into whole, which we've done. Now, are we going to do this all together, and do we want to go forward and next year kind of have that broken down? I think that's important, and maybe there is a, you know, a estimating schedule that needs to be broken out, would say like, hey, we need these information, and then things we don't fund need to be shown. And I really just be as transparent as possible, because if not, it's going to come back to bite us in the butt later on. That was my whole point last meeting. So thank you for everyone, and Ken for doing this. Thank you.
Linda.
I have a couple of things. Who is Galaxy Z? Oh, it's Kathy. Oh, she's on again. All I saw was a leopard print. Like Joe said, like I said earlier, all you're going to do is end up with a pretty piece of paper that says you have this much, but you physically can't do it because you don't have the expertise. We have never split out general contractors, ever. So yes, we have paid for it because it's part of all these construction projects. If it's not a construction project, like the expertise that it takes to do the models at the Athenaeum, they build that into using the expertise to fix them. So that's not called out, because it's the person who does it is the person who has the expertise. So that concerns me that we're going to do that. As I said, I'm okay with taking out contingency fees, and we probably should put in next year that do not include contingency fees, because we can't pay contingency fees or buffers. You know, the 4.8, I believe, at the cemetery. We can't pay these Nantucket fluff, basically. We can't pay contingency fees. So give us the hard figures, even if they have to call out the project manager or call out the general contractor. But 90% of these aren't going to happen without a general contractor, because that's the way it works. You can't do something without a contractor. And the contractor is responsible for the permits, and he's responsible for the ones pulling the permits under his general contractor license. Since almost all of these are going to be some sort of a controlled construction, so it has to be a general contractor with a license, and he takes responsibility for the project. So there's a certain amount of responsibility there that isn't necessarily with the shipbuilding. Let's put it that way. So I think we need to look at it. Great. I appreciate the work done to separate it out, but let's not remove the general contractors and the project manager on St. Mary's, because without them, that project isn't happening. and go back and look at what the contingencies are and take those out, because I think there's 4 or 5 that have the contingencies and then the buffer, which concerns me because there's no figure attached to it.
Does it
So
make
that's
sense?
my
Does it
thing.
make sense for us to, does it make sense for us to go back, then take a look at these, convene another meeting, and have circulated before that meeting the numbers or the items that should be taken out, so that we have a valid figure on which
Mhm.
to decide?
I think that would probably be good because Eleanor was like I was. I didn't see these figures until just now. So
Agreed.
And I acknowledge that I should have done more homework. My bad.
Neville?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, Mr. Chairman. All these figures were in the, they're all in the proposals. So, you know, we should have seen it, like I started to see it only because it was brought up to my attention. And you know, I just know it, because I read the proposals, but I'm not saying that anything bad about anybody else. What was just said about, if we're gonna look at one, we should look at all, it's fine. But I'm afraid if we did that now, especially, if we can't solve this now, it might bring up a whole thing of worms. And the reason why I'm saying that is because of this, because like I just delving into it and going back and looking at the act and finding out things like, we don't fund sidewalk work, you know, like, but we have a project here for sidewalk work, historic preservation. You'll find little things like that. We can do it, and I don't mean to be snide or sly with this. We can do it the Nantucket way and do it this time, but we have to get together and follow the rules of the act going forward. We can do that because right now, there's some other things, some other items that I know that we are funding right now that we shouldn't be funding because of things that happened that set precedences in other towns, that I hesitate to bring up, and I will not bring up unless someone asks me what it is, but it will blow your mind, because that's what happened when I start digging, and I just find out things. I have something on my phone that was sent to me.
Just to let you know, I have to leave in 5 minutes because I have to go to the hospital.
So then it looks like we're probably going to be ending this meeting and continuing on. But
yes,
I just want my statement here, like, as we delve into this thing, we're going to find a lot of stuff.
Linda and then Tim.
yeah, we can finesse this. Just to be clear, on those 2 sidewalks, we're not paying for the sidewalk work. I checked. The town is paying for the sidewalk work that has to happen. This is for the historic review of all the sidewalks to make sure that they're done correctly when the work happens. So I'll leave it there. But I think we need to, it's not that anybody didn't do the work. I didn't pull out any contractors' fees. And I didn't pull out the 2 fees for the St. Mary's project in particular. I pulled out no contractors or engineers' fees. What we did look at was a contingency fees, and that's where I'm staying, is a contingency fees and the buffer, which is weird. That's where I'm staying. That's the only things I'm going to personally agree to take out. But if you want to finesse this conversation, and I believe Tim has his hand up first after me, then I think we need to end the meeting and then figure out where everybody is, because Thanksgiving is here. And then we got Stroll, and then I've got December Delight.
Can Tim speak,
I think we
please?
need to figure it out. Tim has his hand up, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Tim.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I was just going to support ending this meeting and rescheduling, because Neville, you can't say that you know we're doing things we shouldn't and leave it at that. You've kind of dangled that carrot out there in front of all of us, and it would be improper for me, and I know everyone else feels the same way. It would be improper for us to vote on something that you alluded to without questioning it and making a decision whether you're right or not. So I think we should end here, Mr. Chairman, and reschedule and talk about all these issues. And I don't believe anyone wants to move forward now.
I do not see any objection. So therefore, I would entertain a motion to end the meeting, reschedule with an appropriate agenda for us to consider. Is that a motion that someone's prepared to make?
So
I'll
moved.
make that motion, Mr. Chair, and that's the only thing on the agenda is the deliberations.
Neville?
Yes, I said so moved.
Okay.
I'll second the
Neville,
motion.
Linda second. All those, anybody in, I have to go by roll call. Neville?
Aye.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
possibly, could we consider an in-person meeting? It sounds like we have quite a bit to discuss. And
Yes.
it might be better in person, just a thought.
Please.
Or a hybrid anyway, Tom, because some people are going to be traveling. So a
Definitely
hybrid.
like in the, with the owl.
Yeah,
Oh.
the ugliest building on Nantucket.
I really want in person. Very for
Yeah.
that.
Neville?
Mr. Chairman, how much time do we have? Do we have time like after Thanksgiving when everyone is back to have a meeting
Yes.
then?
Yeah, we got that email from Glenna. Thank you, Glenna, saying that the CPA hadn't finished their work, so.
We're still waiting on that from Brian.
We're gonna get it today. We're getting that today. I
Oh.
got the word, we're getting it today.
Either way, the selectmen put us
Yeah.
in, which doesn't happen for another month or so, right,
Yes.
Tom? You don't do
Yeah.
your warrant for a
Correct.
while.
Yep.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Neville.
if we were talking about when to have the meeting. And we had said earlier, we're not on a deadline as we have been in the past before. So if we can get a really nice, comfortable time where we can have, everyone will be here. And I do have documents that I'm gonna get and give it to Glenna so she can pass it out to everybody.
Okay. Glenna will send out an email again to see what days are available for us to be able to meet. And we will schedule enough time so that we can have a full discussion.
We should do, she should check with Erica first to see what, because
Yeah.
all of us are meeting in that building now. You need to make sure what dates we can get in there.
Yeah, we're aware of that. Thank you for pointing this out. Diane, you've raised your hand.
I just quickly want to say that I hope that you keep this as a hybrid meeting because I can't get there and I have some things I need to say. So that's
Well,
all.
That will be the case because I sometimes have difficulty with respect to getting certain meetings as well because of my personal situation.
Right, both of us.
Okay.
Can I would,
Mark has his
I would
hand up.
I would
Mark.
suggest that everyone seems to keep Tuesday at 10 o'clock available, and that we know that's one of our scheduled meetings. So maybe we ought to try and work around that as one of the next meeting, and maybe rather than having a meeting where you look at all of December.
No,
Maybe
let's look at Tuesdays and let's think about, can we think about starting at 9 as opposed to 10? That gives us a little bit more time.
Fine with me.
That's all I find.
I like that.
Sure.
Okay.
I'm in favor of
schedule
hybrid as
that
well.
for Tuesday with starting at 9 o'clock.
Are you
Which
specifying a specific Tuesday or just you're saying in general?
What we're going to do is we'll send out an email to see what dates work best.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay.
And availability of a room with
Yeah.
a, thank you.
Okay. Could I have a motion to adjourn because I have to get to the hospital?
So move.
Hope you're okay,
Yeah,
Ken.
I
Oh,
know.
we already had that. We already made a motion. You
Yeah,
were
we did.
taking a vote and it got waylaid.
Roll
Yep.
call.
All those
End of
all
discussion.
those in favor to adjourn? Anybody opposed?
Aye.
All right.
Okay.
Aye.
All right,
Aye.
thank you.
Thank you.